Once you're done unwrapping, you have to mount a new image into the Image UV image editor. So what you do is highlight all your geometry, all your faces, and you go Image, New Image. In this case, I made an image called Window Small, and it is 1024 by 1024. So I typed in Image, Window Small, 1024, and hit OK. I did that on both windows. This one's called Window Large. We're going to end up painting these, and I'm going to give you a gift. The gift is located here. visuallyinsane.org/media/index.php. You have to type it all in. I'm working on correcting that to figure out why you have to type it all in. But even the index.php. It will lead you to a site where my students and I undergone an assignment. What happened is their assignment was to build some Blender brushes. Okay, so I had to make 10 each, and then or 9 or 10 each, and upload it. That was their grade. So it was a pretty fun night, and I said I was going to donate it to everybody. So there they are, Blender brushes. So you click on it. So I give credit to the students at Jackson Community College for this in my texture rendering and lighting class. We can go to any one of these, and you can see they are just little tiny brushes. Let's see what I got here. All right, if you click on it and then click on it again, you should be able to get the metal1.png or the PNG file. That's very important that you get that PNG file. And then you can go save image as. Now, if you wanted to, you could copy this, save image as, and then save this in a directory on your hard drive, like C drive, program files. I save mine in the Blender directory, and then what happens is when I upgrade my Blender, I just move the texture directory over. So metal1.png. Oh, you don't have the permission to save in this location. Would you like to save in a pictures folder instead? Well, you little. Sure, I'll put it in my pictures directory. Thank you, Windows 7, for being so kind to remind me that I am powerless. There we go. Alright, so now what I could do is go in here, highlight my entire window small, and make a new material called window small. Window singular. And I'll do that for my large one too. I'll hit assign. I should have done that to the other one too. So A to highlight everything, and then hit assign. So now I have window small and window large. I'll make one more material in here, and I'll explain what I'm doing there. I'll call this paint. And Paint just handles imported textures for brushes. On Paint, wheel up and load the new brush. Image or movie. Open. Great. Now I gotta remember where our pictures directory is. Pictures. That seems awkward. That's probably going to go away. There we go. Now, turn on pre-multiply. And the reason for this is it helps the PNG file as far as the alpha is concerned. So click on it. There we go. And you can do it this way. You can go to edit mode, type on or click on the main window to load my preferences here for Maya. That way I have Maya's navigation. I'm going to click and drag the window quite like out further. That way I can paint on it. I know I just put it together, but I changed my mind. And hit A. Then I'll go into Texture Paint. And load that new texture. Now, if the texture doesn't show up, I better go to Paint and name it. We'll call this Metal 1. And as time goes on, you can make a Blender file that just has all the textures built in here. And as many as you download, you can have them all in one file and call this the Master Painter or something like that. It's a little quick shortcut. So you can make a material and it has multiple textures, and that way when you go over here, you could just click on whatever texture you want and start painting. What I like to do is go up here and change the strength to 100, the radius to an obscene number like 500. That way when I click on the item, I only have to click once, wait a second, and it just fills the item with texture. If you have a slower computer, it will take a second to populate. And if you want to do it over here, you can. Let's say this is just a noise texture. You can click the brush and click it a few times around, and it will fill the entire UV section with some very high res texture. Again, this is only if you have a noise value that you want to put in here. And that's the case for these windows. This part of the window really doesn't matter too much. And you can see by going like this, I can lighten it. So I'm just filling this with very high res noise. Good. I'll do the same with this one. In fact, I'm just going to fill it all with noise and not move the window this time. And you won't see my brush because remember, it's set to 500. Whoa. I don't know what happened there, but The only bad thing about painting like that is you don't see your UVs. So I am going to move this out, L, move it over here. And then I'm going to paint these a different color. And for these, I'm not going to use a texture like that. I'm going to use clouds. Remember to go back to paint though. Okay. By loading paint, you can keep all your textures in one place. That's important. You don't want a bunch of floating textures out there. So I'm going to use clouds. I'll go into texture paint. And for this, I'm going to use a light blue. And I'll do that to the same for up here. I'm not done with it, but for right now I am. Let's go into object mode, click on that one, hop into texture paint mode, click that a few times. This is going to be a transparency, but I still want some kind of tooth behind it. So I'll do that, and then I'll drop it to nothing by hitting X. Lower the strength down a little bit, and I'm just going to click a couple times. And that'll give it some texture. Okay, next, object mode, texture paint, and then again I'm just going to tint it. There we go. So this is what my map looks like. Pretty interesting, right? Yeah, but you got to be very careful because sometimes you overpaint. You thought you were done. So now I got to lower my radius just a little bit. You gotta be super careful about this radius. You see how it falls all the way off to the background? Doesn't look gloomy enough. I want to change that. So what I love is that you can tint the texture. That's amazing to me. And usually times I'll just combine these two together just to make it a little bit easier to paint. You know, I don't have to keep hopping to object to object. Sometimes I'll just combine the two and have two separate materials set up. Alright, I think I got everything. Good, it's got some texture behind it. That's got some texture behind it. Notice I'm just single clicking a lot. And I notice that makes it a little bit higher res sometimes, unless you keep your spacing up a little bit. So if you turn your spacing up, you can get away with dragging. There we go. Perfect. Now in the next video, we're going to see about how to add the alpha part to the scenario. See you there.